Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The rifle category here in Warzone 2, probably the most common weapon category we've got. And I'm always seeing a lot of questions of, Zach, what is the #1 best rifle in the game if I'm wanting to use it for, long range, or if I want to use it here or there, right? And while we've gone through and broken down the rifle category in many different ways this season already, breaking down my top 5 personal list and whatnot, today I wanted to focus simply on the stats and break down the top 5 best TTK rifles in the game right now, at least for long range. Obviously, if we were talking more close to mid range, it'd just be the Kastov 74U and the Chimera. That's about it. But I do want to focus here initially on true game data. As always, shout out to Tony for putting in the work, putting in the details here on the site so that we can actually see all this super easy. I want to start with a few of the weapons that you're not going to initially see, at least not all of these on the top 5 list, and explain why it is that these are not in the top 5 best TTK options right now. So we are of course looking at 250 health. This is also including the armor damage that a lot of these weapons have, and combination shots, which is the most accurate way to look at TTK. You can see here we got the Hemlock, the Kastov 545, the TAC 56 or the Scar, the STB, and the Lachmann 556. You're going to see a couple of these on the top 5 list, but I see everyone obviously still running the Hemlock. It's one of the most picked weapons in the game. After the last update, you guys can see the red line here past, what is this, 32 meters. The Hemlock's TTK is one of the worst in the rifle category, actually. Now, of course, this is 100% accurate TTK, right? So you're gonna have missed shots factored into a realistic TTK where the Hemlocks will be a little bit faster, but just straight up damage alone, the Hemlock really is not all that crazy anymore. Like, it's more so the Kilo, I'd say, of MW 2019 and Warzone 1, where it's easy, but it's not gonna hit hard whatsoever. The 545 also, mid-range really drops off hard and pretty severe over long range. The TAC 56 also past 25 meters, not all that fast with the exception of a few meters in the mid-range there. But really, the STB and the Lachmann 556, actually two that hold their own on this list in particular. But just, if you're sitting there wondering, all right, where's the 545? Where's the Hemlock on this list? It's because their TTKs, believe it or not, really are not all that impressive right now. With that said, let's look at some other options here for the top 5, right? The true top 5, in which you guys just saw the STB and the Lachmann 556 kind of holding their own against some of the lower options. Let's see how they hold their own against some of the faster options in the M4, the M13, and the Kastov 762. Again, 250 health, combination shots, and this graph is a whole lot more competitive, right? Initially, what stands out to me is like the M13, our green line here, you can clearly see that beyond 55 meters, it slightly has the best TTK out of all these options. I see a lot of people saying, well, the M13 is pretty weak. The M13 is shooting marshmallows. Its mid-range isn't anything crazy, and it has some steeper drop-offs, at 38 meters and 42 meters, but beyond 45 meters, which if you were to ping in game and see how many times you're fighting at 45 meters and beyond with the rifle, that's a lot of fights. The M13 actually has like the best TTK after you start to get beyond, 60, 70, 80 meters. So over range, it can and will fry compared to the other rifle options out there. Obviously, the Kastov 762, our yellow line, it's got the power, but curiously enough, it's only the 4th fastest TTK here, just barely beating out the Lachmann 556. But again, you look into actual accuracy with that and say you're gonna land 5 or 6 more shots at the Lachmann 556 versus the 762, and those TTKs might flip. The STB is also surprising. Close range, it's absolutely the best, but it never really drops off to a point where it's the worst in any scenario, right? It's sort of a negligible difference with it in the M4 here over range. Pretty impressive on both of those parts. Now, the thing with the STB, obviously, is that its magazine capacity is not nearly as good as some of these other options with its fire rate, so that's something to keep in mind. But this competition here for long range, specifically, as mentioned, 55 meters and beyond, is crazy because while, yes, you can look at this graph and say M13 is the fastest, M4 is the 2nd fastest, STB 3rd, 762 4th, Lachmann 556 5th, you factor in accuracy in the slightest here, and it's a very different graph, right? So all 5 of these really could be in contention for the true best TTK rifle. So I want to go through and of course break down the best setups for all these guns so that you guys got your options for whatever feels the best for you, because that's really what it's going to come down to here. Which rifle are you the most comfortable with? As we go ahead and get into the setups, quick reminder, if you're new here, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD, so feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and if you guys enjoyed this video, if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Would be seriously appreciated. So the M13 setup here is pretty standard. We've talked about this one numerous times already. It's incredibly easy to use. The recoil here is super minimal, and then obviously, as we saw on the graph, if you're landing your shots, this thing's gonna put in the work. So I go for the AMOP V4, pretty standard here, but always use whatever optic you are the most comfortable with, and of course tune for that furthest eye position in the faster ADS speed. 60 round extended mag, you have to be running this. The fire rate here otherwise is going to be too rough to actually compete in multiple engagements back to back, so you got to be running that. High velocity ammo just to make that mid-range and long range feel a bit easier and more consistent with the hit reg. We are of course tuning for the better velocity and better damage range. I go for the echelon barrel over an under barrel here just because this is going to help out the range and velocity even more while also still giving me some control. It won't give you as much sway benefits as an under barrel would, but this is still really solid out of one singular attachment. Then of course the Harbinger D20, better velocity, better range, better control as well. Tuned for even better velocity and that better ADS speed. M13's been sort of my number one go-to choice for a rifle for some time now. Absolutely a great option. Now the STB arguably is the easiest option to use on this list. I mean, there's several very easy options here, right? The Lachmann 5.56 is also up there too, but this thing is point and shoot. It is a laser beam. Like I said though, only having 42 rounds with a fire rate that's a little bit faster is rough here. So this one's going to take a bit more getting used to if you're trying to fight at a disadvantage at any point. It's something to certainly take note of and probably raises the skill gap with this weapon up closer to maybe the 7.62 with its recoil there, right? So definitely not the easiest pickup and fry weapon because you do have to be mindful of that ammo count. Of course, though, again, I got high velocity on here, same tunes as always. Harbinger D20, yet again, better velocity, better ADS speed on those tunes. 508 rear grip here is better range and better velocity, just straight up. You don't really need a barrel that offers more control here because this thing, like I said, is going to be shooting very straight because it's so easy to use. Then again, AMOP V4, furthest eye position, faster ADS there. But if you want to use the 3.4 times, if you want to use a certain thermal in pubs or a different optic, whatever you're the most comfortable with, always throw that one on there instead. But definitely a slept on gun. I'm really liking this. It just does take some getting used to. Now the M4, of course, is old reliable. This has been good since day one. It's probably going to be good on day 1000, right? M4s are just always a nice consistent gun in pretty much every single COD. It's kind of like the staple gun that gets all the initial bundles and all the promotion and everything, right? AMOP V4 yet again. I go for the 45 round mag here. You could also jump up to 60. Only difference there is the speed, so it's just a level of comfortability. Do you want to be a little bit slower with more ammo or a little bit faster with less ammo? No wrong answer there. High velocity ammo yet again, same deal as always here. Once more, I feel like the recoil here is easy enough that you don't need an underbarrel. That said, if you wanted to use a Ripper or a Lock Grip or an Edge 47, I'd say drop the high tower barrel and throw on that, but that's more of a preference and a feel thing. Level of comfortability there should determine which you want to run. I like the high tower barrel though, better velocity, better range, better control, better damage range and recoil steadiness on those tunes. And then also the Harbinger D20 yet again for the better velocity, range and control, better velocity and ADS speeds on the tunes for that one. M4, straightforward, easy to use, but honestly pretty high reward as well as the graph showed. Now definitely the toughest weapon to use of the 5 on the list here today is the 7.62. You guys saw it, 4th best TTK. It's got a little bit more recoil, so this thing does take some skill to master and to learn. If you get that down, you're going to be feeling good. Like if you can land your shots consistently with this thing, it will fry, but it certainly has that added skill gap. Yet again, AMOP V4, no surprises there. 40 round extended mag here is the max, so of course we're using that. High velocity ammo yet again, same deal as always. Here I do go for the Ripper underbarrel for that added control, for that added stabilization. That is a pretty big factor in a weapon that behaves like this, of course. I go for stability and stabilization. And then I do go for the Talon 5 suppressor here. If you wanted to use a compensator, you absolutely could, but I do like the added velocity and range that this adds on top of the bit of control you're getting too. And I tune for the even better velocity and better ADS speed yet again there. So this setup definitely helps control it some. There's still going to be that noticeable recoil though. You just master that and then you'll be good to go. And then lastly, the Lachmann 5.56, a weapon that has risen up in rank a ton since season 3 dropped basically. This thing feels incredible right now and it's so easy to use. So your realistic TTK is going to be even better in comparison to some of these other guns like the 7.62 as we talked about. Once more, AMOP V4, rhyming accidentally. 40 round mag or 60 round extended mag, the choice is yours there. In this case, I do trade out high velocity ammo for the Ripper underbarrel, but I think you could use either there. If you don't feel like you need the Ripper because it's just a super easy weapon to use, you could absolutely drop that and throw on high velo instead. But this setup is like no recoil whatsoever. better stability and stabilization on the tunes for that. Echo is 80 here. You don't need the added slowdown of Harbinger, in my opinion, just for the added control because this is so easy to use. So you're a little bit snappier here, better velocity and ADS speed on those tunes. Then also once more the wrap barrel, the longest barrel, the 3-in-1 combo yet again, velocity, range, control once more. So we're also going for better range and setting this on that to help out and really make this as efficient as it could possibly be in those mid to long range gunfights. Any of these options though in this video here today are solid. Really, like I said, there is no true definitive one answer for the best TTK. It's of these 5 weapons, the one that you feel the best with and the one that you're the most confident with. But all great options. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications to always stay up to date with all things going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.